Now, the next story for the day, I know we're going longer today than I expected to. I know that first block was a lot longer than I expected it to be, but here's 50 Cent did a very interesting interview with Hollywood Reporter. Now he's got a lot of updates. One, he has a documentary. He's doing a deal. He did a deal with Netflix to do a documentary on Diddy. So that's in the process. 50 Cent starting his own fast channel. A fast channel is basically your own Netflix, basically. So he's going to take a lot of his content over there. He talks about Tyler Perry. He and Tyler Perry have a really good relationship, so they're going to be working on things in the future. He talks about how he doesn't care about the Grammys. You know, he doesn't care about the Grammys, but and then they asked him uh, if he's a part of the Recording Academy or if he votes, and if he knows who votes. And he says, "I don't know who it is, but they'd be at Beyonce's house because she has 30 of them," which is funny. It's always funny to me with people who say they don't care about the Grammys. Know how many Grammys other people have? I don't know. That's just funny to me. But there's 2 points in this conversation that I thought were really interesting. One, they asked him about winning an Emmy alongside Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, Kendrick Lamar, and Jay-Z for the 2022 halftime show. Right. So they asked him when the lineup for the show was first announced, your name was not on the list. You came out as a surprise. Here's what 50 says. They wanted to leave me out of it. They didn't want me there. That's a crazy picture too. It's like he almost looks like I just saw Kendrick. At first I was like, man, it looks like they put him in the back for a reason. But so anyway, they ask, who is they? Rock Nation. They didn't want me there. Eminem wouldn't do it without me. That's how I ended up on the show because he was not coming if I didn't do it. When that happens, you go, damn. So you just lost Eminem because you didn't bring 50? Damn, all right. Bring 50 then. But if it was up to them, they would not have had me there. I'm the surprise. I'm not on the bill at all. They couldn't get M to do it without me. I mean, that's a great example of just holding a homie down. That's a great example of how tight their relationship is. That's a great example of how supportive. I mean, Eminem's been through a whole lot, you know, since Get Rich or Die Trying came out, right? I mean, he had substance abuse problems, you know, like he almost died at one point in time, and they've been riding together since the beginning. They're great, great friends, and that's the support they provide to each other. So that's a big deal. That's a big deal. And it makes me think about the game. This is how not cool with everybody the game is. We covered this in Game Going Out Sad Part 2. We covered this in Game Going Out Sad Part 1, right? Game talked about how disappointed and hurt he was for not being invited to this Super Bowl show. He said that Super Bowl's in LA and I'm not there. I was hurt by that. He said that on I Am Athlete. You know, he said that he is, you know, he referred to everybody as legends in that conversation except for 50 and Kendrick, right? That's what we talk about in Game Going Outside. But 50, Rock Nation didn't want 50 and brought him in because their relationship is tight. Game's relationships with these guys, regardless of how impactful they've been to probably to each other, because Game made a lot of hits, which makes a lot of people money. It's just not the same thing, you know? So I thought that was really interesting in that context because I don't remember the bill itself, actually. I don't remember it being advertised. I mean, I remember it being advertised, but I didn't feel surprised when 50 came out. That made all the sense in the world to me. But it's just a shame. I mean, you really see the difference. One of the things that Game said was that if the Super Bowl was in New York, they wouldn't have had anyone from LA. If the Super Bowl was in Detroit, they wouldn't have had anybody from LA. Well, if you got someone on that bill that loves you enough and is powerful enough to pull you in, then miracles happen every day. And that's what happened with 50, and it didn't happen with Game. Now, here's another thing in this interview that I thought was interesting. This was a really interesting part of this interview. And I'm not used to 50 showing that much emotion in interviews. Not in interviews. You know, he'll show emotion on certain tracks, like the Before I Self-Destruct album actually had a lot of emotion behind it. I'm a big fan of that one. But they asked him if there's anything that you regret doing. Now, members, you guys have seen the video on Fat Joe and J. Cole already, right? I think this is ironic because we just saw a podcast with Fat Joe on Sunday where he's talking about he was at war with 50 Cent, but now they're at a basketball game, sitting next to each other at games together. And unprompted, I mean, they asked 50 if there's anything he regrets doing, but they didn't call out any names in this question. It was an open-ended question. Here's 50's response. Regretted. Look, I think we wasted too much time arguing. Me and Fat Joe, me and Cameron. There's other guys like Jadakiss, we cleared it up easier, but we wasted time because it was just the competitive nature. It wasn't like we crossed paths and had real heat for each other. It went on more with Joe because he's more like me. He's closer in character to me. When we're at odds, and we did that for a long time. And because of his loyalty to Irv Gotti and Ja Rule, because he worked with them, I was seeing him not happy from the things that were making me happy. It's easy for me to say F you if what makes me happy makes you unhappy. Then we're not on the same page until it turns into some ish, and I couldn't pinpoint what exactly happened. When you look back at it, wait, what happened? Because we didn't even have no altercation or no specific thing that created it. Now he's like my friend. I love that. Like my friend. Now he's like my friend. And I don't care that he has relationships with people that I don't, because he's always had those relationships. I mean, I think that's really big. I think that's really big to see 50 talk like that. You know, I know he's maturing. I know he's a mogul now. I know he's always been prepared for every room he's ever walked in. But I was actually surprised to see that he regretted beefing with those guys for so long. It's good to see that people can make amends. Their next question: do you ever see Kendrick and Drake being friends? This is hip hop. I think it's competitive to a degree, obviously. Even Drake, his position and the attitude and his choices, those are 50 Cent choices. He identifies with Drake. I think 50 does a good job of basically identifying with whoever's the underdog and moving successfully or making moves. You know, there was a double XL cover with him and Soldier Boy. His face was wrapped up. It's like you don't look like you didn't want people to know it was him. But I remember him, you know, gravitating towards that. You know, Pop Smoke, rest in peace. You know, I think 50 finds certain types of energies, or he's great at identifying people who are moving like him, because 50 Cent was on the top of the world, and arguably in media, he's on his way back to being on top of the world. I mean, he might be up there already in general, but I'm saying particularly in the media space, because he's making incredible decisions. The quote continues, F it, everybody got to get it then. When it becomes Drake versus Kendrick, it's because it's the only thing you can put up against Drake's success. It's the truth. That's why I don't look at Childish Gambino or ASAP Rocky as Rocky's going to spin the block on Drake. We covered that in a video on the channel. Check it out if you missed it. I guess, Rocky, you know, a lot of you guys have been pointing out Rihanna and some dirt, things like that. Okay, but I don't know. I don't think the Drake before this battle is the same Drake as after this battle. And what I mean by that is I see what 50 Cent's seeing. You know, I think he's going to come back more ruthless this next time around. So we'll see what happens with that. But Kendrick is the only thing that you can put up against Drake's successes. It just is. You know, you have to go supreme culture, supreme authenticity to counter supreme success, you know, sitting on top of the rap industry for 15 years. Here's what 50 says again. Look, our culture loves to see you go up because it's confirmation that they can go up. But when you stay up, I want this ish forever, man. They go, well, damn, when you gonna come down? If you don't come down, I ain't gonna have my chance to go up. And then it's these clouds that come over you, and that cloud is doubt, a shadow of doubt that doesn't come from material or your work ethic. It's doubt from the artist community where they say, I don't know if it's new-ish, but I don't know if his new ish is cool, but it's not his first ish. They do that to you, and Drake's just experiencing what you experience as backlash from success, from the consistency he's delivered over and over. I don't see a loss for Drake. The people who bought Drake's material are going to buy Drake material when his next song comes out. Now the ish that I do, it ruins your whole effing career. Speaking of beefs, have you talked to Ja Rule? No, that was real. Yeah, they're definitely not going to talk. But I thought this is really interesting. I mean, 50 clearly identifies with Drake in this situation. 50 was in Canada for his birthday. You know, it looked like he was showing a lot of support to Drake there. You know, 50 has always been the guy that other people didn't want to give a shot. and 50 was able to create his way regardless of everyone else. That's actually the difference I see between them. I feel like Drake has been given all the shots. I feel like Drake has had a lot of support even before he made it to America. I feel like he's had a lot of support. Now, don't get me wrong. I know that he's been slighted in a lot of places and in a lot of ways, but I don't think those doors were ever shut to him. I think people that just didn't respect him. 50 had doors shut, especially after he was shot. He had to figure it out. Basically, Marshall gave him that shot. And we saw their friendship, example of their friendship and him pulling 50 into the Super Bowl, So thought this is a really interesting conversation. Let me know what you guys think about this. Leave the comments below, like and subscribe to the channel. But man, my nose is itching. You ever get out the shower and then like you're sweating because you took a shower and then like your nose itch sometimes? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But this is a really interesting article. I'll put a link in the description. I'll remember to put the link in the description this time. And check it out for yourself because it's wide ranging. He goes in on why he doesn't have a relationship with Diddy, for example. There's a lot of interesting stuff in here. So make sure you check it out. It's all happening.
Justin Hunte is here, it's all happening. Justin Hunte is here, it's all happening. The mathematical breakdown of this mighty game of rap we in. It's boom bapping. Systematical culture views us radical, it's all happening. Shaking hands and dapping it. Life through the lens of hip hop, from trip hop to yes, y'all, you don't stop, you don't stop. Justin Hunte is here, it's all happening. It's all happening, yes, it's all happening. Justin Hunte is here, it's all happening. It's all happening, yes, it's all happening.